Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash and it is Thursday the 25th of May 2023. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back, and if you're new here, this is a channel where I talk mostly about my knitting that I've done in the last week, and I usually show any finished objects that I have and works in progress, faux from the vault, so something that I might have made earlier, and then like any plans or purchases that I've done. And then at the end, a little bit about, my personal stuff in the week. And I do also put in if I've done any sewing or crochet or any other kind of crafting, but this week it is just knitting. So I'm going to jump right into it because I have lots to talk about. I don't actually have any finished objects from this previous week, but I do have a lot of whips and some faux from the vault. Right, so I'll start with my new work in progress. I just cast it on this morning, so it's not very large yet. And it's Exploration Station by Stephen West. And the yarn that I'm using, it's on a 4mm needle. I have Skein Classy in the colorway in the navy, and then Neon Peach, and so that's color A, B. I'm debating about color C. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to change color C. Color C was going to be Antique Lace Tosh Merino Light, so the Neon Peach is Tosh Merino Light. It was going to be Antique Lace, and then the fourth color is definitely Antler. But I'll show you as I'm knitting. I'm really not happy with the Antique Lace. It just looks quite dirty. So I've only just done a few rows, and then that's going to be the Antler. So I just think I'm just not loving it, and so I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to rip that out, and I'm going to replace that with well water. So I'll hold the 4 colors up with the well water instead. So it's going to be these 4. Let's see if I can manage that. Yep, I think I've got that balanced. There we go. Those 4, and I think that will be really pretty. So that's going to be color C. Yeah, like it's kind of a neutral in Stephen's shawl. It's reindeer he uses, but it's quite peachy, so it's not. And I just think the Antique Lace just looked muddy and just too close to the Antler, but like dirty Antler. So it just looked a bit like, I don't know, pond scummy water. So yeah, so I won't be. So it's got that caught around a cable. I did do a YouTube video on the start because I watched Stephen's video, which is really good, but he knits with his yarn in the left hand, Continental, and that can throw some people when they hold the yarn in the right hand. So I thought, oh well, I may as well do one while I'm recording it. Hopefully it's clear enough. Obviously that's quite a dark color to do a recording, and if it's not particularly clear, I don't mind doing another record. It didn't take very long, doing another recording with light yarn and maybe much bigger yarn, like not that yarn that I would use for the shawl itself, but teaching yarn, like a really big bulky yarn and larger needles just so you can see better. Anyway, I like the blue and the Neon Peach, but yes, I'll be ripping that out soon. So that's Exploration Station by Stephen West. The next work in progress that I have is Ranunculus. So I'm on the second sleeve. I've finished the first sleeve and I've put the second sleeve, and I did a video on picking up the stitches. I already have a video on picking up stitches for in a top-down sweater, but I thought I may as well do one specifically for Ranunculus because there is quite a different way of different way of removing the stitches. And to be honest, I don't, once I picked up the stitches, I thought I don't think there's any real value in that. I quite like the way I pick up stitches and just pick up an extra one in the gaps and then close, and then decrease them in the next round. I'll put up here a link to my picking up the stitches video, just generally for top-down sweater picking up stitches, how I actually do it, where I just take an extra stitch at the corners and then decrease it in the next row. I find that just the easiest way, and I don't get holes. So anyway, I will do I've got another video on all of my messing around with different sleeves that I'll post next week, and then when I get down to the I cord, I'll do a video of the decreases and then the I-cord, and then I'll do a video of where I connect these two ends of the I-cord. Yeah, so because I did plan on doing more videos sort of as I knit through the Ranunculus sweater. Right, so that's, oh, sorry, I should say, I'm knitting this on a 6mm needle. The yarn is Julie, Asselin, Anatolia, and the colorway Clementine, and this ball is like losing itself. It doesn't want it. Anyway, I tend to, often I pull from the center, but with this yarn, I'm pulling from the outside because it just can collapse, but even still, the balls are sort of collapsing. Did I say the colorway Clementine? I just love it, really pretty color. Yeah, so, and then the needles, that's a fixed, not a fixed circular, it's a 20cm cable, 2 8cm tips, and that's 6mm on the right for to construct the size of the stitches, and then 5mm on the left to make it easier to get the yarn onto the needle, which is really helpful when you've got particularly, you know, like open work where the stitches themselves sort of collapse a little bit when they're on the cable, and it can be hard to shove them up. Right, so that's my second work in progress. I've got Exploration Station and Ranunculus, and I think that will be, I'm sure that will be finished by next week. Sports socks for my daughter Mia, oops, bang. So that's as far as I've only done maybe not even an inch. So that's on 2.75mm needles, and I Judy's Magic cast on of 24 stitches and then increased to 52, and then just working way up. And that's the second sock. So, and I would like to get them done pretty quickly because I have another pair of socks I want to start. So, right, so that's the sports socks. The next work in progress is the Musselburgh hat. So I have finished the neon peach, so I'm more than halfway. I got to about 11 inches from the tip. So this is on a 3.25mm needle. It's Madelinetosh Tosh Merino Light in the colorway Neon Peach, and then Antler. So this would definitely, not that I'm into matchy-matchy, but it would be the same as the two colors that are in my, 2 of the 4 that are in Exploration Station. And let me see, I get to 34 between each of the markers. So what's that? I think it's 168, 136 stitches. That's how many stitches I have on the needles for fingering weight yarn, and I like that. So, and that used 40, let me see, I wrote it down, 48.6 grams of the Neon Peach, so a bit less than half a skein. And I have 2 balls of the Antler for something that I was, you know, planning on making and then change my mind. So I have that in stash, so I've got plenty for Exploration Station and for this hat as well. So, yep, so that's the Musselburgh. I think that might be my 17th Musselburgh. Let me see, what else have I got on the needles? This is the black beanie for Mia. So this is a requested knit from my daughter. So I had this pretty green one that I made for her, and she asked for a black one. So this is, I'm pretty sure, myak yarn, and that's Rowan Kidsilk Haze in a black colorway. And I did 8 rows on a 3mm needle. I did 8 rows of a twisted rib, and then I'm just doing stockinette on a 3.5mm needle. And I did measure from the previous hat. I got to knit to 5.75 inches and then start the decreases. And I'm at, I think I'm at 3 inches now, maybe almost 3 inches. So I'm more than, 3.5 inches. So I've got about 2 and a bit inches to go. Once I start the decreases, I get quite excited with hats. I'm like, even though there's still a bit of knitting to go, once I'm on the decreases, it's like, I can see the end in sight. So I'll be quite keen to get that to the decreases, and then probably I'll finish it in a day once I've done that. It is a bit hard, not just being black, but black yarn. I don't know, it's just not the easiest of knitting. Yeah, maybe it is just because it's, sorry, runaway ball. Yeah, it's going okay, but I kind of have to make myself work on it. So I really want the finished object. I really want to give it to her. She wants to wear it. It's winter here, it's cold. It's like, when she leaves for work, it's like 5 degrees in the morning, which is 41 Fahrenheit. So, and she wants matching mitts as well. So yeah, so I won't start the mitts until I finish this. So that, and I've got one more work in progress. which is a bit sad. It's the Cumulus tee by PetiteKnit. I'm so discouraged. I'm actually going to, this is a faux from the vault, but I've got a tank underneath it, so I'm going to take this off and I'll put it back on when I talk about it. But I want to try this Cumulus tee on so you can see what's happened. Okay, so sad. I blocked it. I've got about, so I did a gauge swatch. I was a good girl. Before washing, I got 30 stitches and 36 rows. After washing, I got 27 stitches and 40 rows. The pattern was meant to be 28 stitches, so it was going to be a tiny bit bigger, but not awful. And it's not a tiny bit bigger, it's massive. So I was hoping to have like maybe 2 inches of ease, and I've got about 8 inches of ease. And look, that's fine for these relaxed sweaters, which I'm going to talk about again. That was my faux from the vault last week, but I just want to mention a few extra things about those. They're meant to be like, they're big, like not tanks, sweaters, right? Whereas this is a tee, it's meant to be not necessarily skin tight, but it should 8 inches of ease. It's way too much for me. So anyway, and the neckline is crazy big. So I'm just going to try it on so you can see that like that hole. Look at that. That's like, you could fit 2 of me in there. It's crazy. Anyway, it's just, anyway. Oh, sorry. Okay. So yeah, you can see that like you are meant to pick up around here and do an I-cord, and that would pull it in a little bit, but seriously, like, you would see my boobs without me even bending over. So I did cast on less stitches under the arms. I cast on 6 instead of 10, but I don't think anything is that, even casting on no stitches would have made no difference, because it's just so oversized. Look, I think it's quite pretty. Like if this was like a flash dancey kind of sweater, that would be all right. Maybe I should turn it into that. Anyway, so I'm debating what to do. It's not going to work out as it is for what I had planned. So like, just so you know, like my gauge now is 24 stitches instead of 28. So that's how it's ended up so big. So, and even if I ripped up to like back to here and just did less raglan increases, I don't think that would solve the problem that the back is just so wide. So in the pattern, for my size, I cast on 50 stitches, 40 of which are for the back. Now, if I adjust for gauge, my back should have had 34 stitches. So that's substantial. And so, look, yeah, I'm just debating whether I just make it more like a throw-on sweater. And then I thought maybe my daughter Mia could wear it, because she's petite, but she's got quite a big bust, so she would at least fill it out a little bit. She's not very broad though, so she'd probably have the same issue. Yeah, and also this really isn't her color. She's just not into this kind of pastel-y pink. So, so just for example, like the body stitches, I have 240 stitches on the body, whereas if I adjusted for gauge, I should have about 190. So that's just like 50 stitches too many. That's way too many. So yes, I think I'm either going to have to rethink the purpose for it. I have knit 1 1/4 balls, which is substantial, because it was probably only going to be about 3 and a bit balls for me, maybe 4 tops. I really enjoyed the knitting, but it is hard on my hands. So I would be very sad about ripping all of this back. So I'm just trying to think about maybe if I even do the I-cord, but like, if I wear it as an oversized top, what am I gonna wear it over? Like anything that I wear is gonna have this big, here's my sweater, here's my top underneath. I don't know. I just don't wear stuff where you can sort of, that has that much neckline happening. And obviously I can't try this on without a top underneath, clearly, because it doesn't even cover my boobs. So anyway, that's where that's at the moment. Happy to hear any suggestions. Otherwise, you know, I could make this for a friend. Like Beck's certainly a lot broader than I am, and she's got more in the bust department as well. And if she likes the color, maybe I could finish it for her. because I really don't like ripping back. I just prefer to just start another one and make something functional. There's nothing wrong with this, it's just too big for me. Like, it's beautiful, the fabric is lovely, it's not like I want to go down a needle size. I really, really like it, it's just wrong size. So I did a gauge swatch, but it lied. So that does happen sometimes, and I'm a bit bummed. So I'm not going to rip it out either. If I do, maybe I will, but I'm not going to rip it out right now because I want to rethink it and just decide, you know, would it suit Beck? Because I definitely don't think my daughter Mia would be into it, and my daughter Alex is the same size as me, so it wouldn't fit her. Anyway, that's where that is at. So this definitely is not going to get touched for a little bit. It's just, I'm just going to put it aside and have a think. Right, so I'm going to take this off now and put my faux from the vault back on. And that's actually got its own little bit of woe in it, but that's okay because I'm not, you know, I'm not miserable. I still wear this. It's got a few issues though, so which I will talk about. Right, so anyway, that's my whips. What am I, 16 minutes in? We'll get on to faux from the vault. Happy to hear people's thoughts about that though. Curious, tell me what you think. But yeah, I think definitely for what I was planning, how I was planning on wearing it, it's too big. So this is my faux from the vault is Ghost Horses by Caitlin Hunter, and another Caitlin Hunter pattern. And you can probably see the issue, one of the issues that I have with it. So if I even move around a little bit, the yoke is too long, like you can even see it. So my underarm finishes up here. And I knew that was going to be a bit of an issue with the pattern. I could see it, but I still went ahead. Yes, I do like it, but I think anytime I move, I feel like I'm constantly adjusting it. So I'll just tell you a little bit about it. The yarn that I used, that's part of the problem too. The fade yarn, I'll tell you about the base yarn first. That's Madelinetosh sock in the colorway Posy. And Madelinetosh sock, I wonder if I have a ball of it. I think I do. Do I have a ball of it? Sorry, I'm behind the camera. I'm still here, I haven't gone anywhere. But, oh, where are you? No, I don't. Oh, it doesn't matter. I really wish I had. I'm gonna look for it. I found it. So this is Madelinetosh sock in the colorway Posy, which is the same color that I used for the relaxed sweater, but that's Tosh Merino Light. So, and I want you to see, can you see how tight a twist that yarn has? You see that? Yeah, it's really not a good yarn for color work. It's great yarn for socks because it's, you know, the tighter the twist, the stronger and more durable it is, but it really likes to sort of hang by itself, and it doesn't sort of smoosh in nicely, which is what you want for color work. So it just is not a great, I'll put a better photo of it, sort of a nice close-up, take a photo in the light box and put it up here. But the stitches don't want to sort of just meld with the other colorways in the Fair Isle. It sort of wants to be, you know, its own, standing by itself. So yeah, so it just is not a good choice for color work, and I knew that going in, but I liked the color, and I was just like, oh, I'll make it work, it'll be fine. And yeah, look, it's not horrible, but it's not ideal. But it does look, I do like the color. And then the other colorway is actually one color, but it's like not one color, but it's one, like a gradient set. And that was, what was it? It was Fiber Optic Yarns Kashmir Gradient Smoke on the Water. And I got that at, sorry about my dog, Nashville at the SSK. Sorry about that, my dog thinks he owns the whole street. Yeah, so look, what was I saying? I've knit a lot of this at Camp Stitch, which was this sewing retreat that I went to in 2019. That was so much fun. Yes, and I enjoyed making it. It has a lot of long stretches, so there's quite a lot of catching floats, which whenever you have sort of like a picture of something, sort of a large motif, that's gonna happen. And anyway, so yeah, I just don't, I think the yoke is a bit long, it's up a little bit high around my neck. So as much as I'd like to make it again, even with different yarn choice, that's not gonna fix this and what do I get rid of? I mean, I could eliminate some of these rows in here. I think that's what I'd have to do, is eliminate some of the rows in here. Maybe do a provisional cast on here so that like then I could do maybe less ribbing if it was already up quite high, and or just, you know, like up about here, and then just do a couple of rows of ribbing. But you can see there's quite a bit that I would like to get rid of to make it fit better. But yes, I like the colors. I loved how I mean, you can see why I picked the colors, right? Like I think that just graduates so beautifully. And you know, the body of the sweater's fine, the fit is really good. Here, the fit in the body is really good. Just yeah, just too long in the yoke and poor choice of the main color. Anyway, live and learn, and even when I knew going in I shouldn't do it, I did it anyway. So there you go. So that's my faux from the vault. What I thought I would do as well, my faux from the vault last week were the relaxed sweaters, and I had a few questions about them, and I thought, you know what, I might actually mention. I didn't try all of them on too, and I thought, look, that's 5 fingering weight sweaters. That's quite a lot of knitting. Maybe each one deserves a try on. And I thought I'd mention just a little bit about the fit and the gauge for them. So I already tried on the grey one. That was my first one, and that was what do you call it? That was Skein Sport Silk in the colorway Sterling, and the gauge on that was 22 stitches and 32 rows. Now the row gauge is usually not that important because you just, you know, knit longer if you need to, but it is a little bit important here in terms of when you pick up these stitches for the sleeve, like how many rows, like that number of rows will be how like the circumference of your sleeve, obviously. So if your row gauge is really off, you might want to knit a little bit longer there, like if you need more rows or less rows, otherwise your sleeve circumference will be a little different. So that was the first one that I made, and I think people noticed it was pretty wide. Look, just in case you didn't see the last podcast and you're new here, I'll try it on really quickly. So this is the first one I made, and I noticed I made it pretty much exactly to pattern, except it's a bottom-up sweater and it's meant to be knit in pieces, but I knit it in the round to the underarm because that was obviously an easy modification, and it just meant a lot of knitting instead of knitting and purling. So you can see that the neckline is pretty very like this is also stretched out quite a bit. Like it was, I think the gauge initially when I knit it was like 23 or 24 stitches, but this is the one I wear the most, and it's stretched out to 22. So that does happen sometimes, that things, you know, stretch out over with wear and with washing. I mean, I'm very gentle. I don't put my knits in the machine, except socks. I do put my socks in the machine, but I do put these in, you know, hand wash them. I lay them flat. You know, I'm very gentle. You know, they've had a lot of work go into them. So then this, and I knit this on a 4mm needle because that's what I can't remember what the pattern called for, but I did knit it on a 4mm needle. Then the second one that I knit was the Posy, and I'll tell you what I did to bring in because I did bring in the neckline. So I'll try this one on and hopefully be able to see. The gauge is a little different on this one too. It's 23 stitches instead of 20. That one was, that's actually the pattern gauge. 23 stitches is the pattern gauge. So this one is, now you can see that's heaped, like the other one was out here. It's still not, I mean, it's still reasonably wide neckline, but it's much closer in than the Sterling one. And it's a similar sort of size, maybe just a tiny bit less wide because the gauge is slightly different. So what I did, the way this is constructed, so you knit all the way up. I'll take this one up and I'll show you. You actually, when you do it like a 3-needle bind off, you do it from the wrong side, which is quite right side. You do it from the right side. So you actually get this, normally you do it from the wrong side, but you actually, like the seam is actually a feature. But I don't know if you can see, so there's some short rows here where you sort of, you're knitting along. I need to, hold on, I can't talk, that's a bit silly. Right, so you're knitting along here, and then you do a short row, so you don't go all the way to the end. You knit sort of to here and then turn and come back, and then to here and come back, and then to here and come back. So what I did was, like, let's say each of these sections was maybe 5, 5, 5, 5. For a few of them, I just made them like 6, 6, 6, 6. So as a result, because I sort of went further, these were longer here, it meant that I didn't go out as far for the neck. So if you think about it, I'll just give you an example. Imagine you had 100 stitches and you're going sort of 5 from the end, 5 from the end, 5 from the end. So you sort of 15 and 15, you got 70 left in the middle. If instead of going 5 from the end, you go 6 from the end, 6 from the end, 6 from the end, then that's 18 instead of 15. So you've got 3 more stitches here and 3 more stitches there. So instead of 70 in the middle, you've got 64. So that's how I ended up bringing it in a little bit for the neckline, so that I just turned around a little bit further away each time. So instead of going 5 from the end, I went 6 from the end. So this section here is a little bit longer than it was on the grey one. And so if each shoulder is a little bit further in, then the neckline's a little bit less. And I picked up naturally, because I had less stitches, I picked up less stitches, because you pick up some stitches here and then just do a few rows of stockinette and then bind off. Yeah, so I really like that. It was a very easy way to bring it in a little, and then you can bring it in as much as you want then, right? So you could do, instead of 6, you could do 7, and then you'd lose 6 here and 6 here. That's just an example, right? I don't have the pattern in front of me, but hopefully you get the idea. Right, oh, the other thing I wanted to mention as well. So when I made the relax, everyone was making boxy, and I only had 3 skeins of this yarn. And I thought, oh, I'll just make something different. You know, I make the same pattern over and over and over again. Maybe I'll make boxy instead. But the boxy pattern had 100 more body stitches than relax. 100. Like, this is already very big. I don't need it any bigger than that. So, and I only had 3 skeins, and this used almost all of the 3 skeins. So I was just like, well, I'll just do the relax because it's the right size. Yeah, and I sort of kind of know what I'm going to get. And then I'll just quickly try the other ones on. So this is the same yarn as the grey one, but a different colorway. So this is the Skein Merino Silk Sport, but it hasn't been worn nearly as much. And I think I did the, yes, I did the trick to pull it in a little bit, and I might have pulled it even a little bit more. Now this one, actually the gauge, even though it's the same yarn, I measured this one, the gauge is 24 stitches and 24 stitches and 31 rows. So yeah, so it's a little bit less wide, and I did do the trick of the neckline, bringing it in a little bit. So that's that one. And I'll try on, this is Madelinetosh. Sorry if you've already seen this, but I didn't try them on. So I thought, well, you know, I made them all. And each one is its own jumper, so why not try it on? So I'll take this one off and try. This is Madelinetosh MCN fingering in the colorway Tomato. So try that one on. The gauge on this one was 25 stitches and 32 rows, so significantly tighter, but also again, maybe I haven't worn it. I've worn this one a bit. I did knit this one on a smaller needle. I knit this on a 3.75mm needle, so yeah, a little bit smaller, but still plenty of room. And then the last one is Malabrigo sock in the colorway Lettuce. And this is a light fingering. I also knit it on a 3.75mm needle, and it's 25 stitches and 37 rows. So I find with the lighter weight yarn, you might not get a big difference in the stitch gauge, but you'll probably have a lot more rows to knit for that. So that's, yeah, so 25 stitches and 37 rows, whereas the Tomato one was 25 stitches and 32 rows. So yeah, now there's a bit of debate about whether this was a good color on me. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, yeah, so I still haven't figured out what I'll do with this one, or whether I'll whether I'll, you know, continue wearing it or not. So yeah, I just thought they deserved a little bit of extra, you know, attention, I guess. You know, that's a fair bit of knitting. I thought I may as well show them off and try them on. Okay, I'm going to take this one off though, because I don't know, it feels funny sitting in something that I don't really love that much. I might put the pink one on. That's one of my favorites. I'll pause. Yeah, I like that one a lot better. Nice, pretty color. Right, so they were my foes from the vault. Purchases, I haven't made any significant purchases, except this isn't knitting related, but I just wanted to share it. If you're in Australia, we have this tea too, and this is the eggnog tea, which they usually only bring out at Christmas, and this was the last one left at the shop, and it's so yummy. And I was trying to figure out why it tasted so good. It's got condensed milk, vanilla, eggnog, caramel, hazelnut, and hazelnut brittle. So no wonder it tastes so good, it's really yummy. So yes, not knitting related, but that's my only purchase. Oh, the other thing, oh, I'm gonna sneeze. My students say bless you to me, and they try to catch me before I sneeze. And if they say bless you, before I sneeze, the sneeze goes away. And I just mentally said bless you, and the sneeze is gone. Is that weird? I don't know. It's like, you know how yawning's contagious. Someone saying bless you, stopping you sneezing before you sneeze. I don't know if that's a thing. Has anyone heard that before? I had never heard that. And when my students did it, I was like, what are you doing? I haven't sneezed yet. And they said, no, we're stopping you before you sneeze. Anyway, it worked. Even saying it in my head, it worked. Right, plans, that's where I'm up to now. So lots of plans, I always have so many plans. The first one, even though I was going to make the climb socks, which I still plan to make, I was wearing these sneakers the other day. Oh, I wish I had them. They're really cute. I'll put a picture of them up here. They're like white Adidas, I think, sneakers, where they're like, has got some see-through, you can see through the shoes, right? So I thought, what a great thing to wear with hand knit socks. But they don't look, those kind of sneakers don't look very good with socks that peek out. And I find that even like, you know, you want to wear those no-show socks through them, in them, where you don't sort of see them at above the size of the shoe, you know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. So I wanted to make some no-show socks, and so I found this pattern, the Skimmer Socks Revisited, I guess, by Sheila Toy Stromberg. I haven't picked any yarn for it. Obviously not going to use a lot of yarn, but that's going to be my next sock cast on. And the climb socks will have their day, but yeah, I'm just kind of want to make these and try them out in the sneakers and see if they work. I really don't like it when your socks fall in, you know, the no-show socks, when they end up right down around the base of your foot. So I'm hoping that these will work. So that's one of my plans. Another plan, actually I'm really excited about this one. It's the Felix Pullover by Amy Christoffers. And I think I'm going to use some yarn that I started Turtle Dove 2 by Espace Tricot, and I just wasn't liking it. I don't know, the pattern looks fine and everything, although to be honest, when I see it on people, it has a bit of that like bubbling here at the neckline, which I don't love very much, and I was a little bit nervous about that anyway. But anyway, I've already frogged it. Unfortunately, I didn't make a note of what size needle I used. I didn't measure the gauge before I frogged it. So annoying, I don't know. Anyway, the Turtle Dove was on a 5.5 mil needle, so I'm guessing I probably used that size needle. I'll show you the yarn. This is pretty funny. This is the yarn, because I just kept, when I unwound it, I think I must have either I knotted it, I don't know what I did, or maybe I probably did a felt join. So because I did a felt join, it was like just all one big long strand of yarn. And then, so I found this and I was like, yes, I'm gonna make the Felix pullover. But I was like, that's not all my yarn. And then I did a massive cleanup a couple of days ago, and I found the rest of the yarn. So this is the yarn. It is Shepherd Supreme. Like, this is full-on vintage yarn. I don't know how old this yarn is. It's from New Zealand, and it is 80% wool, 20% mohair. This is some of the earliest yarn I bought. I reckon this is probably, I've had this, and I bought it on D-Stash. I've probably had it maybe over 10 years, maybe 12 to 15 years. This is new yarn, newish yarn. This is Knit Picks Aloft, which is the silk mohair, and what's the colorway? Did I write it down? Oat. So these two together, this is the fabric. So I did do a gauge swatch. Of course, I didn't make any notes as to what size needle I used, which is crazy. I always think I'm gonna remember. Actually, I'm usually pretty good about writing it down somewhere, but for whatever reason I didn't. So I've got 3 different size needles. I don't know what, but maybe if I had to guess, that might be 4.5, 5, 5.5, or 5, 5.5, 6. I'm not sure. Anyway, I get to about, I think this one up here is about 16 stitches. And I know that the Felix pullover is knit with a slightly larger needle, like a 6mm needle, and the gauge is meant to be 14 stitches. So I think I could probably get 14 stitches and get the drapiness that you'd want. So yeah, I just really like that. Like, it, even though those two don't match exactly, this sort of puts it, like, just softens this a little bit with a bit of a halo, and gives it sort of a slightly peachier cream color. So I think that would be really nice for the Felix pullover. And the other one that I was also considering for the Felix pullover, I haven't swatched for this. Excuse me, sorry. This is also Knit Picks Aloft in the colorway Labyrinth. Just a really pretty dark green. And then this is Sundara Aran Silky Merino in the colorway Somewhere Out There. And I have this, I got a friend's leftovers on D-Stash, and I have about 700 meters of that. So I actually think those two might knit up quite nicely. I'm going to do a swatch to even see if, I'll definitely do a swatch for gauge, but I'll also do a swatch to see if I even like those two together. We'll see. I'll show you the swatch, even if I end up not doing it. If I don't like it, I'll still show you the swatch just to see, so you can see how that went. So that's the Felix pullover. I'm going to make some black mitts for Mia after I finish the black hat. That's another plan, is the black mitts. A pink sorrel has moved up the queue for me, because now that I'm not sure what I'm doing with Cumulus, and that's got to be put aside, I want to have another sweater on the needles, and Ranunculus looks like it's nearly finished. So I think I'll start the pink sorrel. And the colorway, the yarn that, like, I've got a whole bunch of stash, like, you know, leftovers, but that's the main color that I'll use. That's the lace weight that will sort of hold it all together, the Rowan Kidsilk Haze. And then I do, these are sort of some colors that I haven't, like, I think when I weighed this, I've got about 240 grams just out of this. That's a full skein. Anyway, I think these together underneath this pink will make quite a pretty sorrel. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll start that this week. I've still got the camisole number 2 by My Favorite Things that I want to make, but I'm a little scared of that now because that's in the Knitting for Olive silk. But at least I know that it's going to stretch out a lot bigger than I was expecting. So yes, I'm a little bit unsure about that now. I'll probably, it's in ribbing, so the camisole number 2 is in ribbing, so there'll obviously be a little bit of, pulling in, but even still, I'm a little bit, I might err on the side, I might either go down a needle size or on the side of just making a little bit smaller, or doing a gauge swatch, and not a gauge swatch, doing blocking it part way so that I haven't gone too far. The other things that I was thinking about doing was the Moonset tee, using the cotton merino in the soft aqua. But when I had a look at the projects that were using the cotton merino, I didn't really like how it looked on the ribbing on the neckline. So I'm a little iffy on that one as well. The other thing that I've been thinking about, it's not going to be an immediate cast on, but I might do, but it's caught my eye, is the Cozy Classic Light by Jessie May Designs. And it just looks like a really nice sweater. I haven't even thought about yarn. I think the dog just fell over, he's all right. I haven't even thought about yarn for that one. yeah, so that's heaps of plans. But I am feeling quite conscious that once Ranunculus is finished and it's almost done, then I won't have a sweater on the needles, and I do like to have a sweater on the needles. Right, so that's it for my plans, and that's pretty much it for the knitting content. So if you've enjoyed the video, if you could like it, and if you haven't already subscribed, then if you subscribe, then you'll see when new videos of mine come up. But I pretty much record every week, and then I try to do a tutorial in the middle of the week. So I usually record on either Wednesday or Thursday and upload it on Friday, and then somewhere in between that I do a tutorial as well on something. Either it's something that I've made, like, you know, the exploration station, or Ranunculus, and you know, whatever, just sort of is something that I thought, oh, people might want to see. So yeah, but now I'll get on to the personal stuff. So it was my 50th birthday on Saturday, and yeah, I had a really lovely day. It was beautiful weather here. I went for a bushwalk with my husband, and we went to the markets and picked up some ravioli. A friend has a stand where she makes ravioli. Her and her husband, they make pasta, like handmade pasta, and I love her filled ravioli particularly because there's a lot of work that goes into that, and she's an amazing cook. So I bought some of that, and that's in the freezer for, like, you know, like date night at home dinners with a nice bottle of wine with my husband, where I don't really feel like cooking but don't, you know, want to have something nice, and that's really, you know, good quality ingredients and everything, and is more like a homemade than takeout, that kind of thing. You know, a lot less salt, and, you know, just a bit healthier. So I picked that up, and then we went out to Chinese with my mum and the kids. And the kids made me these beautiful handmade cards, and Mia bought me these earrings. Yeah, they're so pretty. And the kids bought me, because it's winter here, they bought me an electric blanket for our bed, and it has a dual controls, because my husband doesn't really want to use it and I do, so I'll be able to, and I'm not going to use it when I'm actually asleep. It's just to get, so you're not getting in with cold sheets. And I find sometimes, like, my hands get really, really cold, and I'm constantly trying to sort of, you know, sort of pull, like, my pajamas down over my hands. And anyway, very happy they got me an electric blanket. And I got a beautiful hamper box from Beck. I'll put a picture in. It was just so exciting. And oh, I'm gonna grab it. This in the box there was sorry, really badly organized. In the box there was like a little satin dressing, like not a skimpy dressing gown, but a really pretty pink dressing gown. And the dressing gown came in this little bag. So here's a little bonus project bag, which is really cute. And oh, I got a gorgeous plant from my friend Amy. I'll put a picture of it up there. I love plants, and I'm not the best at keeping them alive, but the indoor plants are much better for me because I see them and I think, oh yes, I'll water you. But if they're outside, I forget about it. So anyway, so she gave me an indoor plant for my birthday last year, a ficus, and it's looking really beautiful. And so and I haven't killed it, so I'm really happy about that. So I think it's called amaranth or something like that. Yeah, so I got that, which was really lovely. So that was a really nice birthday. And then Sunday was so horrible and windy here. I didn't even go to church. I just stayed at home because and watched online. But I usually try to go because it's sort of, even if, you know, it's just nice to be able to connect with other people, and, you know, if somebody else needs encouragement, you know, just to, yeah, be there to interact with others. And then on Tuesday, this is the best news, Alex got her driver's license. She did her P's, it was her first time, and she passed. And, like, obviously I'm really excited for me because it's not so much running around, but I'm so excited for her because, like, you remember your feeling when you first start driving? It's so liberating. You feel so free, and you can, yeah, it's just, and she's just gone off to the gym now, and she used to ask me, oh Mum, do you want to go to the gym? And I'd be like, oh, I've already been for a run, or the time doesn't work. And I like going to the gym with her, but it just meant that, like, this, she can just go, she doesn't have to rely on anyone else. So I'm so happy for her. There's like, it's natural, she's 18, and, you know, it's not that big a deal when you're driving 12-year-olds around, because, I mean, still driving, but you know where they're going to be, and you know that they've got swimming or tennis or whatever, Whereas with an 18-year-old, it's like, can I get picked up from work at 10:30 at night or midnight, or, oh, mum, you know, like it's all last minute stuff and you can't plan for it. So, because she's an adult, but I'm looking, you know, I'm doing something for her, but she's like acting like an adult, but I still need to help. Anyway, I will miss all of the driving in the car and the chats. But yeah, I don't know, it's just a new phase of life, right? Like each one had its own thing, and this is natural and good, and yeah, she's really happy. Anyway, I'm jabbering on about that. And then Tuesday afternoon was a really busy afternoon as well, because so she got her license, and then my other daughter Mia had she had some testing for autism and ADHD as an adult, so she's 20, and she just was, you know, wondering, is that like part of, you know, just to understand herself better. And it never really came up when she was younger, although the teachers did say that she was often sort of daydreamy, and so it's inattentive ADHD. So she doesn't have autism, but she has been diagnosed with inattentive ADHD. So that's a, you know, a new learning thing for her, and understand, you know, it helped me understand as well. Like I just knew when she was little, like if I wanted to tell her something and to know that she was like she heard me, I'd like make sure she was looking at me and say, Mia, can you repeat it back to me? Yeah, and so I don't know, like it never made me, I always, yeah, even as a teacher, I just didn't understand that much about inattentive ADHD. So yeah, that's helping her understand herself a bit better. I have got her permission to share this, by the way. Like I wouldn't share about this sort of stuff if she wasn't okay with it. She's happy, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, it is a thing. So it's not good or bad, it just is. And I think it's always good to understand yourself a little bit better, why you do the things that you do, or and then how to, you know, how to get the best out of yourself. And it may also help her, she's still got 2.5 years of uni left, just in terms of, you know, she might need rest breaks and different things. Like she managed fine with school because she's so bright, but she probably would have benefited from some rest breaks and in her exams and things, just to help her. So yeah, so it was pretty busy last week, but a good week. And my son's doing completely fine. Just, you know, he had that chest pain issues from the week before, and he seems totally fine. He's actually doing his last exam today. It might have been stress related. And yeah, he seems okay and happy. So that's last week, and coming up this week, I'm teaching knitting at the yarn shop this Saturday, and I'm teaching a new class, the one on the knitting your first beanie. So that's, I'm just sort of writing up my notes and handout for that, because obviously people get the pattern, but I need to plan. It's a 3-hour class, and so like what needs to be done, where we need to be at by what time, to make sure we get through everything. So that always takes a bit more thinking for a brand new class. And the other class that I'm teaching is like finishing techniques, so picking up stitches and mattress stitch and that kind of stuff. So, and I've taught that quite a few times. So, but it is a full class. There's 6 in that class, so that will be quite busy. So that's 6 hours of teaching on Saturday. So that's I'm wiped by the end of that. Like I love it, but definitely by the end I'm just like driving home, going, oh, I just want to sit in front of the telly now and relax. So yeah, so today's my day off. So this is sort of my relaxed day today. What else is coming up? So that's Saturday. On Tuesday, my son, he's in like a little mini band at school. They have they have the big bands, but then they also have little bands of like, you know, 4 or 5 kids, and he sings. And so he's got a performance on Tuesday night. So that will be really exciting to go and watch him do that. It's not a big thing like the musical that he was in. It's just like a, you know, I think at my other daughter's school they called it a showcase. So there's lots of the kids in their various bands and whatever are performing. And they do it sort of regularly throughout the year. So that's coming up. And the other big thing for me on Wednesday next week is for work, I'm giving a presentation to other maths teachers around New South Wales. It's done on Zoom, which is good and bad. Like I did it last year, and I'm teaching other teachers how to teach advanced calculus. So it'll be mostly teachers who are either new to teaching or returning teachers, or haven't taught the calculus part of the course before. And so it's just like a 2.5-hour Zoom where I you know, explain to them sort of, you know, what's in the syllabus, how to teach it. And so that's coming up, and that's it's just a lot, you know, like I have to be really focused. I'm going to ask my mum if I can. Last year I did it at her house so that there's not distractions of dogs barking, and so that's like 4:30 to 7, so it's a really long stretch to be, you know, teaching. And I feel the weight of that, you know, like it's a good thing and I like doing it, but it's, you know, for professional, like, you know, as part of my profession, it's a big thing. You're putting yourself out there to other teachers and saying, this is how I teach this, and this is what I've found when I teach students this is the mistakes they often make, and this is a really good thing to stress. And yeah, so it's on calculus, and which I love. Yeah, so that's next Wednesday. So I'll be spending a bit of time just, I've got all my notes from last year that I spent a lot of time, like I've got like 100-page PowerPoint presentation. So the big thing for me is timing. So I ran out of time to get through all of it last year. 2.5 hours is a long time, but 100 slides. And so just working out which ones I'll, you know, can sort of skip over because they're a little bit easier. So they're good for people to have, but maybe a bit too much. Like I don't want to actually spend time doing them in the 2.5 hours. Anyway, all that, plus I've got some marking at school to do because my students just did an exam on Monday and they're doing another one next Monday, the one that I wrote. So yes, lots coming up. It's going to be a busy week, and yeah, my husband's going to, last little thing, yeah, my husband's going to San Diego in a couple of weeks to visit his parents because he's American, and I'm a bit sad I can't go because I love my in-laws and I love America. I used to live there for a couple of years and have traveled there many times. I lived in New York for a couple of years. I worked in a ski resort in Steamboat Springs for 4 months back in the day, years ago. Yeah, and I've just visited many times, and I love the US, so I'm a bit sad that I'm not going, but another time, there'll be another time. And my in-laws, one set of in-laws are coming out in September, so I will get to see them. Yeah, I will get to see them, which will be nice. Yeah, so that's kind of what's coming up. Yeah, I just saw a message pop up on my phone that my daughter hit a car in the parking lot. Okay, so I'm gonna go now. I was gonna go anyway, but yes, I'm definitely gonna go now, and because I'm needed. All right, I hope everyone has a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.